Hi there, IoTeX community. Today we have a very special treat for you. It's a very long time since these three have been on a live AMA together. And today we're going to talk a lot about all the things that have been happening, Mainnet Beta, our new Name the Net campaign, decentralized identity, and much more. But before we dive in, for those that are new to the community, we'll let these guys introduce the co-founders of IoTeX. Please start with Jing. Yeah.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Long time no see. My name is Jean. I'm the co-founder of IoTeX.
Hi everyone, Roland, co-founder of IoTeX.
Hello, I'm Kevin. Nice to see you guys all on the internet.
Great, yeah. So the way this will work is we've already taken a lot of pre-submitted questions from Telegram. And if you have any live questions that you want to ask, feel free to just drop them in the comments section and we'll take them one by one. But even before we dive into the questions, what's been up? How's everything going? We just got past the first phase of Mainnet Beta Launch and looking forward to the native staking. But from you guys' own words, how's everything going?
Everything's going pretty crazy. Good.
Yeah.
Right. So we have launched the Mainnet Beta last week. There has been some very major upgrades for the network without disruption of the service. Actually, we did it. That's pretty awesome. We have native staking also will be enabled probably next week or maybe a little bit late after the next week. And also like the block producing time will be shrunk to 5 seconds. Like you will have a better in terms of user experience. We do have some complaints from from some game developer, DApp developer says, you guys will take 10 seconds to finalize a block. That's probably too long. Can I shrink to maybe 5? Yes, we did it. Yeah. So all the fancy features we're looking for.
Yeah. Also native staking, right? You want to talk a little bit about native staking?
Yeah. So for the native staking, I think our community member already have seen our apps on phones, IoT, and also the desktop wallet as well. And those has been mainly used for IoTeX tokens and also like scarcity tokens on top of IoTeX network. With native staking, right now you don't have to use any Ethereum compatible wallet to stake. Instead, you can just use IoPay. IoTeX enabled the wallet to stake right now. And on the website side, right now our native staking will happen with the same procedure on our member.iotx.io. And you just toggle you want to stake the ERC20 tokens or the native tokens. That's simple. It doesn't change anything that you have already learned.
Yeah, and it's even more flexible because you can even adjust your buckets. You can add more tokens to your buckets. So we made it even better. So it should be a great experience for you guys to stake your native tokens. But
yeah, also another one, like we extend, the maximum staking period to 3 years.
3 years, yeah.
According to
Did you do 3 years already? Or you plan to?
Yeah, I did that. Tried it on like a testnet. Actually, you guys can go to like a testnet to try it out. member/testnet.iotx.io. So where you can try out all the new features.
This is also a feature as requested from our community.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So thank you for the long-term commitment, and we'll be sure to use that feature. But just to run down the rest of the features, we issued a blog around what all the core features of Mainnet Beta was. It's kind of like comprising at least 6 months of work. But native IoTeX staking also included is the expanded delegates pool. We can't forget that. We kind of actually released that early. So as a show of progress, growing the consensus delegates from 12 to 36, upgraded EVM. New cross-chain transfers, specifically around stablecoins. You guys want to talk a little bit about those cross-chain transfers?
Yeah, stablecoin. Basically, we have a partnership with NUSD, which is a pretty awesome like a stablecoin. They have been launched probably 3-4 months ago. The idea has been like you put like a basket of stablecoins like USDT, DAI, whatever, into a basket, then you generate like one NUSD. Basically, this is to reduce the risk of like different type of stable coins. So if a USDT crash 0, for example, so still you got some values in this NUSD dollar. So we did this initial one to support NUSD to transfer to this cross-chain transfer from Ethereum to us. And I think that's been like pretty good. So still we are looking for like D apps, services to use a USD on IOTeX network. And I personally feel like the UCAN and other stuffs will be the ones killing applications for USD on top of IOTeX network.
Right. So a lot of growth in the capabilities of the blockchain. Just to round it off, we have faster block production and TPS, as Rella mentioned, twice as fast block production on the network coming soon, and optimized data storage. This is more on the techie side, but you guys want to explain why that's important for our blockchain.
Oh,
Kind of these 40x improvement to storage size, 10x improvement to sync speed, and data partitioning for easier backup and archiving. So for a non-techie person like me, what does that actually mean?
Yeah, basically we want to make like the running of a node to be easy enough, also cost effective enough, for people. So that's why we want to reduce the data storage we need, to run a node. We want to cut down like the bandwidth usage for you guys as too. So that's why like the engineering team has been really busy working on these things. Like I believe one feature they implemented actually reduced the storage size to 1/30 to the original like data store size,
Very
which is
substantial.
very good. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, Mainnet Beta obviously is a big important part of IoTeX network, but, these days we've been working on a lot more things, right? Mainnet Beta is obviously a huge milestone for us, and especially with native staking coming by the end of this month with the version 0.9. We're very much looking forward to continuing to grow the blockchain, but there's also so much stuff going on in, the decentralized identity space and the product space with UCAM. So just maybe give us a little update on that, right? I think the next thing we're going to be talking to the community about a lot is decentralized identity, which we kind of released the spec for. You guys want to share a little bit about, what DID is and what why it's important for IoTeX?
I can get started.
Sure.
So decentralized identity, when users log in with other services, there's historically to be, for example, like a Google ID or Facebook ID or even Twitter ID. So you have login with those type of services. But however, the provider of the ID is actually the centralized companies like Google, Facebook, Twitter, those type of companies. And so that the user have to heavily rely on their service to use third-party services. For example, like if someday, I think this happens also in the past as well. For example, like Google's login doesn't work, so that you cannot log into another website. This has been happened many times with Facebook, Google in the past, and additionally, and also more importantly, you do not actually own your ID because the ID itself is actually hosted by another company. And by providing the decentralized ID, I think people can directly create their own ID on their own, and also they can totally own the data storage of their whole data as well. This is very important because you do not need to request another company actually to have to access or even maintain your data. And also other companies cannot manipulate your data, and also they cannot leverage your data to do some additional things. I think recently there's a lot of news coverage about how Facebook and other companies either leak your data or maliciously use your data or whatever. And these are not going to happen on decentralized ID. And IOTeX decentralized ID, we also brand it as IOTeX ID. And that will be firstly used on our first IoT device, UCAN. And so user can directly log in with their own decentralized ID, and they also own their own data. And on the camera side, I think it's even more important because the data itself is more about yourself. It's actually your home video clips, and this is very much related to our privacy, and not like other data which that you publish just to the world. This is your data just in your home. I think starting from here, I think people can realize how DID, how IOTeX ID is very important to your own life.
Yeah, I think that's really important because there's a lot of people working on DID or just digital IDs these days, but it's very hard for the common people to understand why we need another DID or ID framework. But once you see it working with UCAM and you start to understand, okay, I own this data. These are my videos. These are my devices. Really gives you a new flavor, right? So specifically for our DID, we do humans, machines, and businesses can all get a DID. Maybe explain a little why that's important for the future vision for the Internet of Trusted Things.
I think just like, what's unique about the IOTeX DID, to other DID, it's about just like we extend the entire use cases from only the digital identity, which is for a person, right? And extend them to all those devices and the machines. So that's a huge kind of move forward step. Yeah. So in terms of the Internet of Trust Things, actually just like I think, recently, I think, starting from our mainnet launch, people start to hear, IOTeX, we are kind of just like to make our vision more concrete, right? So originally we say we are connected to the physical world step by step, right? So how to make it work, and then when we are building up our blockchain platform, we realize actually blockchain itself is not enough. It's very fundamental and it's very important, but it's not enough. Eventually, actually, we are creating an ecosystem, and this ecosystem can make people's life better. So what kind of life people want to live in, right? So, and then just like when we thinking even deeper, and we will feel, okay, the trust is very important. It's a missing part in our current life. Right now, people start to realize, to enjoy actually the connected life, right? Give them the intelligence, makes their life more smarter and also more convenient, right? But at the same time, they also have the concern that there are a lot of accidents to happen, right? So they realize, okay, so when we are living in a world, with a lot of smart devices around their life, actually this also makes them, insecure, and the privacy is not protected. So that we feel that like right now it's time, to make the vision from the Internet of Things to be an Internet of Trust Things. So this is how all our just like IOTeX is focusing on. So we want to make all those devices more trusted. Consumers can trust the data, those devices, right? They are not only provide the connectivity, not only provide intelligence, but they are also just like they are protect your privacy. Because if you purchase this consumer product, which means just like you will, the data is in your own hand. And so that just like you can control the ownership, and you can decide, how to authorize this data access to any parties. Either this is your family or friend, or this is a third party you trust, right? And so this is kind of the ecosystem, makes the traditional, IoT very different. And make it, much better for people to enjoy, their life. At the same time, they feel they have the peace of mind.
Right. Yeah, Internet of Things and Internet of Trust Things sounds the same, but it's very different, right? And I think, we'll start to jump into some of the questions, but, a lot of the big focus about Internet of Trust Things around UCAM, right? And Kevin touched on it a little bit already, but let's take some questions and see, how it goes here. So this is from Etili Sotas, Telegram name. So this specific question is around, we're being monitored and watched every day, all the time, right? Is there a way that IoTeX can protect user data on our mobile phones?
Yeah, I think this actually goes back to like a data sovereignty problem like Jim was mentioning. DID is the first step to reach this ultimate goal. Basically, what we want in the ultimate feature is think about yourself as an entity, no matter device, people, business, whatever application. Then you have your parameter around you, which could be seen like an oracle, like maybe a knowledge ball, how you call it, a crystal ball, right? Every time you emit the data into your crystal ball all the time. But you are the anyone who can control this data. Then one day there comes like an algorithm to you, says, I want user data to do some maybe healthcare analytics for you. So you will say, okay, I will allow you to access my data for a period of time, probably 5 minutes, and give me like the meaningful result, right? And that's how the model works in the future. And all the algorithms, applications, whatsoever, they will have to like tap into your crystal ball to get your data, to compute on this data, then give the result back to you. Right? I think this will actually have a paradigm shifting about how the data is actually used and organized in the current world.
And it all starts with consumers owning their data, right?
Exactly.
It's self-sovereign identity and data. I mean, specifically, they added some details around this issue that this person is having around large shopping malls are tracking cell phones as we enter their buildings. They know what we spend. They know the activity patterns that we have. It's almost like, they are sucking the data away from us and using it, right? So this kind of fixes that problem. But how do we move fully to that ecosystem where it's using this model that Rowland just described, right? How do we challenge the big players to make that happen?
Yeah, so I think what we are doing is starting from what we can actually influence on, which is the IoT industry. And but we also like to advocate and also try to expand to also like mobile as well, so that when we actually, for example, like when we have our IoP, and IoP can be also ID provider for people as well, but a decentralized ID. Right. So people can create their own account directly there. But for developers, like maybe shopping, whatever, like the shopping mall, and also like the weather apps that this mentioned, and if they use this type of like the same solution as we provided, their user data are more protected there. And but when user choose from one app over another, they can see whether they are kind of like powered by IoTeX. If they are, and they can consider this app actually provides their data very in the same way that we provide user data on UCAN. Right. And I think this is very important so that people can directly distinguish between the app who does treat their data more like they might do another sale to another party, but all the data is totally owned by themselves.
Right. Yeah, it would be interesting to see which comes first, right? Do people care about keeping their data private, or do they care about monetizing it? But the important thing is they have the choice. Right.
And also from my perspective, this is also a joint effort. So we already notice, a lot of the regulations, already be put into the practice, starting from the GDPR in Europe, and in US, the CCPA will be effective starting from 2020, which is next year, right? So that just like we should put all the business, either you are internet business, mobile app business, all the business, they have to comply with the regulation, right? And for us, actually, our role will be, actually a lot of the, companies, right? Business companies, especially those IoT device companies, they know that there is a regulation enforcement, but they don't know how to make themselves compliant.
Yeah.
So actually, just with our technology, right, with those built-in trust and privacy, combined with the blockchain, actually we can make sure when they are, really put their product on the market, their products have to be, GDPR, CCPA compliant. That's a very important component. So that we are kind of tech enabler to make sure the product on the market will protect, people's privacy.
Right. Not just benefits for the consumer, the end user, but also for the people that sell these products, right? So we've got, like, Rowland has been diving deep into GDPR, CCPA a lot, right?
Internally mostly.
Internally mostly, right?
That's very important.
But it's really interesting, like how, regulation really drives a lot of change in business practices. So I think this is very timely, the way we are kind of approaching this. But this next question is around, first of all, congrats about Mainnet Beta being live. Thank you. This one is kind of along the same lines, right? Do you plan on monetizing or giving the ability for people to monetize the vast amount of data from IoT devices, and how to do so? Will the data be owned by users or DApps or IoTeX? So we've already established it will be owned by users, but maybe put a tangible example, right? So UCAM data, don't really expect people to monetize, but there are also lots of other types of data that can be monetized, like health data, purchase data, all these different types of things. So what do you guys think about the data monetization? It seems to be a very priority for people here.
Yeah, I think this is usually this is a very challenging one. At the same time, you want privacy, but at the same time, you want monetization, right? So that's why we definitely allocate some resources into this trusted computing paradigm by having like a data encrypted by its owner, but also computable by some like trusted hardware out there, right? So we already have like our working demo, which looks pretty cool. Like we did like an internal demo review actually 1 month ago on this one.
Mhm.
I think the feedback was pretty good.
Yeah.
I think this will be like a future, like a technology enabler in terms of enabling privacy and at the same time monetize over data.
Yeah.
But still,
So break this down a little bit, right? So you're wearing a Fitbit right now
Yeah.
that's tracking your health data.
I'm tracking my health.
So
data.
how does that go from data being generated on your wrist to data that you own to data that you sell or expose to a service provider?
That's a great example, right? So say I use Fitbit now, they don't have any like privacy at all, right? But say if we do like an IoTeX powered Fitbit, what we can do is we encrypt all data with like the device identity or like my identity on the edge. Like the moment the data gets generated, collected, it gets encrypted, then up to the cloud where I want, probably I will use AWS, I use Google Cloud, whatsoever. I control where is data stores. I can delete them all the time if I want, right? Then the data gets there, still encrypted. Then we can employ our like a trusted computing technology, tap into the encrypted data, says, I want extract like my, for example, sleep pattern out of my data to see how healthy I am, right? Then I will have them actually tap into my data, run everything, then tells me how did I do. That's a like very simple flow about how we do this end to end monetization without sacrificing any privacy.
Right.
And also just like, the core of this question is all about if you want to do the data monetization, then just like you need to clarify who is the owner of the data. So in our just like vision or, we in our vision, actually we feel we need the technology to make sure data owned by these users. Which means as a user, if this question can clarify, and also if the technology can enable that, and it can make the entire model much more clear. Right. So right now it's not belong to the service provider, those storage provider. It's not belong to manufacturer. It's not belong to IOTeX as well, right? So IOTeX is only a infrastructure company, but actually just like the data should be owned by the people who own the data, who generate the data.
Right.
Yeah.
To me, this is the start of something that is a new movement just in society. It's not just even blockchain, right?
Yeah.
People want to own their data, especially their health data and their sensitive data. It's very important for adoption. So it's a nice segue into this next question around, what is your vision to reach mass adoption, and what's IOTEX's plan? I think this starts even with VitaMart a lot, and also all these different initiatives that IOTEX is working on come together down the road. Do you want to share more about that, Kevin?
Yeah. So because when we started with the IOTEX journey, we always are approached by different kind of LT companies, but also welcome to us as well. We started with UCAN, which is kind of like the most I think useful smart home devices at home, because everybody actually needs that, because you actually need your home security. But right now the whole I think industry is not going to the right direction, but it's more like people, for example, Google's Nest Cam, they are actually uploading the videos to their cloud server, and they do the AI machine learning just on every piece of your data. That is very scary, I think. So starting from UCAN, I think this is the first thing that people can, everybody can enjoy the data freedom, the data privacy by themselves. And starting from the hardware side, I think this is what we are trying to do, and get much closer with everybody, the mass adoption, so that people can start enjoying the benefit from IOTEX. And on the other side, like you mentioned about the VitaMart, it's another thing that we also, when we work with a lot of like IoT manufacturers, we also find a very big problem for them is to get their brand to know by all the customers. And beta monetizing, on the other side, we really want user to start to know more about different type of brands and their devices, and also they can start even testing the product for free, and also give feedback to those manufacturers so that they can improve their products. So we start from like both ways. One is from the manufacturer side, like more like a UCAN, and we work with them and with different type of technology and help them to build much stronger IoT devices. On the other side, we also work with the consumers to get what they actually want, and we try to bridge the gap between both sides.
I really like what you said around data freedom. Because data privacy to me almost seems like you're closed. You're not talking to the outside world a little bit, right? But that's not the case, right? You have freedom to be private.
Exactly.
You have freedom to be connected. How do you think people will take this concept? What will they do with it?
Well, we are also just like looking forward to getting the feedback.
Right.
As you know, that I know all the community are very excited about our product launch. Actually, we announced we have this hardware product, on the TechCrunch. Actually, this is it's in parallel in addition to those kind of hard work we putting on our blockchain and on our foundational product like IoPay, those things, right? So actually, that's why we have another team which are very focused on how to put our technology into the device directly. Right. So I spent several months, in Asia. I travel to, countries like, Korea, Singapore, China. I spend more time in China. Actually, just like we set up an office in Shenzhen, which is a hub of the manufacturing. So we have chance to talk to all those manufacturers in different countries in Asia. But they are crazy about, IoT. Actually, the IoT, they feel IoT is approaching, and more people, and they just take this as the natural lifestyle to make their life more connected, right? But also we talk to a lot of the manufacturers, and then to try to understand what's their problems, and actually just like they also realize privacy is a big concern for their existing users. So they always get this feedback, say, hey, yes, I like your product, but you need to let me know how you store my data, right? Yeah. So that they are also looking for solutions. So that's I think that's like this is kind of come to the right timing, and both from the consumer side they realize the importance of privacy, and also from the manufacturer they also want to produce kind of the new products which can fulfill their requests. So that I think for IoTeX, right, in terms of the product side, we are work with all those manufacturers, hardware makers all around the world to produce a new generation of IoT products, which is to make the Internet of Trust things a reality. Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, I think adding on that, for those type of IoT manufacturers, their business model is not collecting the data from users.
Yeah.
They would like to protect user data so that they can get their IoT devices selling better.
Right.
Yeah. So I think
they're trying to sell the hardware, not necessarily the derived value from the data.
Yeah, they want to provide better services. They just want to fulfill what their user need.
Yeah.
And the privacy is what their user need. So that's very easy talk when we have this conversation with them.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. To me, like even looking at the home security camera landscape, right? Like I think that looking at all the features of the new cameras, like I don't know what else they could add to differentiate, right? It already has night vision, two-way audio. Like, do you need to add, like, make it like a dual product? Like, this is a double product or something? So I feel like they've hit a ceiling as far as how cool they can make these products. So the next differentiator, it used to be works with Alexa, works with Google, but now people are a little scared of that, right? Rightfully so. Now it's powered by IoTeX, right? So very much looking forward to that. I think, this is actually an interesting question around from Shivam Cool 109. How will you keep up with technology and future competitors? I guess both in the IoT and blockchain space. So are you prepared for copycat companies to try to steal your success and offer similar services? So I guess this question is around, why is IoTeX the only company that can do what IoTeX does?
Yeah, I think first of all, like we cannot fight a battle alone. There's a big vision ahead, right? But definitely we need like companies, technologies, projects, people who want to work with us. Definitely, right? And second, let's admit, like the copycats are everywhere. There is no way, to get rid of them completely. So that's why we are still very stick to what we're doing, and we're the leading company. I think also like the projects in this market, no matter IoT, no matter like a blockchain. So we'll just keep pushing on to the age of the technology, the age of the service, the age of the products we have, right? And I think just like give it like maybe 2 or 3 years, and we will see. We will see how we're doing. Yes.
Yeah. Overall, how is the blockchain and IoT space looking? Right. I think there are a lot of new entrants, but no one really doing the same things as we are. Right. I see a lot of like Ethereum developer boards to open and shut doors and things like that, but it doesn't have the same end-to-end trust and privacy like us. But that makes all the difference, right? Can you guys maybe talk about why that's so important and why it's hard to copy?
Yeah, so actually, I think this is a very, very good question. Actually, when we have spent, 2 years, right? The entire 2 years hard working and to figure out, actually, we are, as an open source platform, our blockchain is open source, which means all the people, all the developers, they can use it for free. And this is also beneficial to the entire industry. We think it's good. And we want more developers. They will use our technology and working on their own product, right? And we also feel, just like Laura mentioned, this is a very big future industry, which means there are a lot of the opportunities. And I think just like each of the players, if they see the future or the potential of this industry, they can just like start with what they really passionate about and what they really good at, and starting from there, right? And either they are good at IoT devices, or they are good at maybe doing those applications. And IoTeX is kind of very open platform, so we can work with a lot of the parties. Either you are developers, you are device manufacturers. We can work together. We're very happy to do that. And in terms of the competitor, to be honest, it's not all about how good your blockchain are. It's all about if you can create an ecosystem, a vertical ecosystem, and in this ecosystem you have all the tools, you have all the even the communities, the people, and the device makers. You have a good blockchain as well, right? So you have all those stuff, and which can make your the developers easy to get on board. So that we will feel the network effect is also very, very important.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's like a follow-up question to this. Is kind of we know there's a big space here, right? But how big is this space that we're talking about, the blockchain and IoT market, right? Like there's some reports that we've been cited in that cites this is going to be $4, $5, $6 billion market in the next few years, but I think it's much bigger than that, right? If you think about IoT, the future of IoT as a future $1 trillion market, IoTeX has to play a big part in that, right? What do you guys think about that part?
Yeah, I think definitely like $1 trillion market in the next 3 to 5 years. So imagine in the future, like all the furniture, like a infrastructure of the city, buildings, everything, you have connectivity built in it, right? So definitely like that's very disruptive in terms of what we are having today. So basically how you calculate this market cap, you adding up infrastructure, market cap for infrastructure for the city, you adding up like the market cap for furnitures, for like a TV, electricity, everything, and also you adding up like a car, like even wearable devices. That's like the entire scope of this IoT, trusted IoT market.
Right.
Yeah.
Just give you a very concrete example. Even for camera itself, in 5 years, it's a $100 billion market.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
So
one
you
of
can
every
imagine
device,
it's just one of the devices.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Right. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And also one thing I want to mention is the 5G. With 5G,
Right.
The connectivity wouldn't be a problem, so that there can be many different types of connected devices that we cannot imagine even today.
Name one.
Name
an example.
Like a connected bottle.
Yeah, it tracks
What's that?
It's a very silly idea.
water quality, but yeah, why
Yeah.
It's a very silly idea. I think there are also some even connected bottle at this moment.
Yeah.
Smart bottle.
Right.
When we went to CES, we saw that.
Right.
Yeah.
But at this moment, there's no much need for itself to be connected.
Yeah.
But in 5G, at least the bandwidth is
easy.
already there,
Right.
and also the chips can become much cheaper,
Yeah.
so that there can be a lot of different ways for you to measure, for example, your health and different things. And because people's health matters a lot,
Mhm.
and even with the connectivity around you and with different things, that can actually make a much difference.
Yeah.
Right. I think so. I like smart bottle.
To be honest,
interesting.
technology itself unlock a lot of innovations.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think like two elements will like make IoT things everywhere. One is definitely like a 5G, even 6G connectivity improvement, right?
Jeez.
Yeah.
Another one is definitely battery. I definitely think like
yeah.
batteries will be like a kind of showstopper for lots of things.
Right.
But once we have a really good battery, it's more long lasting, then we change lots of things.
Right.
Yeah.
Battery, connectivity, and new type of chips and hardware. Yeah, everything's growing so fast, right?
Yeah. They also need a
More
currency, which is IOTeX.
Right.
Right.
That's true. Nice plug. Nice plug.
Mhm.
Cool. So this last two more pre-submitted questions, we'll go to your live questions. Again, if you're just joining us, feel free to drop the question in the comment section and we'll get to it. So this one is around, how can community, support you guys in these new endeavors that we're doing, right? How do people get involved in these new products and these new initiatives?
Yeah, I think very good questions.
Mhm.
I think we are lucky enough, from the beginning, we already just have a global, community support our task project.
Mhm.
And now we need you much more because, we are really just launching the new product.
Mhm.
So actually just actually our goal is also for all those trust things can be approachable everywhere globally. So that just all our community members, you already be so passionate about what we are doing. Actually now the product is out. I think just you also have the priority. We will give all of our just community members, early backers the priority to get access to those new products. I think this is another way you can participate into this ecosystem.
Yeah.
Right? You are not only can be the one who can be the first group of people get the new product, but you can also be the one who can share this product with your local communities.
Yeah.
And we are very welcome that.
Even sharing this data freedom concept, right? Around everyone should have the choice, right?
Yeah.
Like I feel we have been conditioned by big corporations to think this is the only option, right? But it's not true. So really building the new ecosystem for that to happen. This next question is around markets that we try to attack in the future. So there's this person, altcoin maximalist, sees great potential in optimizing and automating supply chains. In addition, customers should have the right to see the origin of products. What type of IoTeX solutions will help with this, and is this part of our future? I think definitely with Pebble Tracker, right? Pebble Tracker, it's definitely the supply chain oriented secure hardware thing that we're developing in-house, and it does GPS location, temperature, humidity, air quality, motion, vibration, all these very important metrics to provide that transparency in supply chains, right? But I think it's also important to think about supply chains. It's just so broken and manual as is. There's a lot of things that can be improved, just very low-hanging fruit with supply chains. So throwing blockchain at the issue is not the solution, right? It's more about how do you take the problems that matter and fix them, kind of address them holistically, right? Do you guys agree with that? Or when do you think Pebble Tracker the concept of Pebble Tracker will make its way into global supply chains?
Yeah, I think like Larry mentioned, there are two things actually broken in the current supply chain system. Like one thing is like the digital, a digitization of the data. For now, everything mostly is just manual. You have like people sitting over there, write down something, coming back, report to his boss or her boss, right? So that's part of one is like a digitization of the data, also trusted data. I think that's where this trusted hardware, like a Pebble Tracker type of thing, can help. Another one is like automation. for now, this automation is partly implemented by centralized systems, which introduces some of the risks, being like people hacking around, people tamper with data for their
Huge
own
risk, yeah.
huge risk for their like a financial interest.
Mhm.
I do see like a blockchain as an ultimate solution for this second part. We will have like a neutral, decentralized place where they can make things happen automatically in terms like something arrives, you pay for someone, you get loan from someone, or you maybe pay off interest type of thing.
Right.
Yeah, but there is a long road to go. Like we
Yeah.
have to fix this entire old, broken system bit by bit. I think paper tracker is a great start. We
Yeah.
do get lots of inbound interest about this one.
What's interesting to me is that I think a lot of supply chain companies operate not just in the present, they operate in the past, right? They're so far behind, but those are the big opportunities to make, leapfrog. They don't have to go into the present, they can go directly into the future using these blockchain-based systems. So we'll see how the supply chain evolves, but
Yeah.
definitely secure hardware and blockchain
And
should
this
play
is
a big
definitely
role.
part of our Internet of Trust things.
Yeah.
So we make sure just like everyone, right? So when they get the things, they actually just like this trust, they will be in every step, right,
Mhm.
of the product. So they can understand just okay, so what's the origin of the product and
Mhm.
how this product, manufacture or produce and how they be, kind of delivered, shipped, and also how to get to the supermarket or on the online store,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. And then just like they also understand just like the product itself is also with the built-in trust and privacy. So it's kind of the entire thing.
Yeah, that's also related to our DID as well. So with DID, we have a DID doc that manufacturer can put their origin and maybe the data of manufacturing inside. So it also can be tracked as well on the DID doc as well.
Right.
And not only
Yeah.
the PayPal tracker that can track the selection, but also the origin. I think you mentioned origin as well.
Provenance, yeah.
Yeah,
Provenance,
directly.
yeah.
That can be on the DID and backed by the blockchain as well.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah,
Those are also super important, just like Jing said, in different type of like scenarios, like in the supermarket and also in the products that you order online, and when it's get delivered, you no matter whether people use PayPal tracker, because that's maybe takes some time,
Mhm.
but people at least know with the product that has DIDs, they can also look up the DID doc to check where it's originally from.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a very good segue into this. So that's the end of our pre-submitted questions. So we're now taking some live questions. So XN Prasatio asks us, why do you think your idea needs the blockchain? So this is a great example, right? DID is kind of built into the blockchain. But that's just one element, right? That's going to be the first productionized use case of IOTeX blockchain within UCount. It's kind of using DID for these secure authorizations, right? But in general, why does blockchain and IoT make sense? Kind of going back to basics a little bit, right? Yeah. After all these like 2 years of building, I think, we all always had the thesis that these technologies were very synergistic, but now we know so much more. So maybe tell us what we've learned over the past.
Yeah, I think you already like a touch base on this one is blockchain will be like the really fundamental of trust for lots of things we build on top of, right? Simply put, depending on the tech stack, we will have like cloud storage, we will have some trust hardware, we will have even machine learning in the future, let's say, right? But definitely like a blockchain provides identity and also provides this like a neutrality among different things.
Yeah.
So people can trust it, and also people can have like a very important logics running on top of a blockchain. I think that's an essential part of blockchain.
Yeah.
Why do we need it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, we are just like creating another Google, Amazon in terms of IoT, right? Which doesn't make sense in terms of this like a data sovereignty in the long run.
Yeah, I think you can consider we are creating Google for IoT, but the Google is decentralized. That is the blockchain part.
Yeah.
Right.
That is very important because you do not want to create another centralized party that can facilitate everything.
Yeah.
Because if you are doing that, there are already like many different parties who are providing the different ID and providing different services. They are actually providing that.
Yeah.
But right now, what we need, like just we answered quite a few other questions regarding to the DID and the data freedom.
Yeah.
This is much more related to having blockchain as a fundamental, but also we can consider more like a service provider to all the services we are providing, kind of fundamentals.
Yeah, I think this is really interesting because going back to like basics, it's like decentralization is so important in IoT, right? Like Rallen was talking about, using blockchain, potentially to like, do firmware updates or push things where, we're starting to get to the point where, privacy to people is all about, their digital virtual selves, right? Oh, my bank statements or my digital, my identity is going to get stolen. But now if we're transitioning to saying, if you get hacked, it's not like something you can fix later on. It's your car that's going to spin off the road. It's your house that's going to get broken into. Those kind of like security and privacy things really add together. And, in the off chance, it's not saying that Google Cloud admins are going to steal your data to mess up your life, but it's possible, right? And if you have the choice to remove that possibility completely, then why not, right? Yeah. This next one is around the token. So what plans do you have to help drive demand and scarcity for the IOTeX token?
That's a
Good question. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's a good question. So actually, we feel, after, our beta launch, right? So we are more approaching, a very usable, blockchain for developers.
Mhm.
So right now, I think that we will have another blog to introduce all those, applications which are already running on top of our text.
Mhm.
Actually, we already have, I think, at least 10-ish, applications on top of that, which is a kind of a good showcase. And we also get those feedback from developers, say, hey, why you choose, IOTeX, not Ethereum? They say, wow, it's very fast, right? It's very fast, and it's very easy for them to create, applications, right? So, so that I will feel for the token side, and now it's time for us to drive the real adoption, the real demand. The real demand for the usage of the token, right? And all those, for example, the product launch, UK is the first, right? So actually, we have in the pipeline, we have more. For example, we have the those smart locks, those public tracker, or all those, I mean, it's like a series of the products, right? They will all utilize, the IoTeX infrastructures. Specifically, they're running on top of the IoTeX beta,
Right.
so which will make our tokens, which is the UK token, building our network more useful.
Yeah.
So we are looking for the real adoption for the token itself.
We're also thinking about like the next phase of IoTeX crypto economics. I don't know how much we want to share about this because it's still very new, but this concept that we've kind of talked about in the past around every DID registered is one token burned to manage the utility of the blockchain. Maybe just share where that thinking comes from. Maybe not the exact details because those aren't finalized, but like where that thinking comes from. Is it to drive scarcity? Is it drive demand? Where does that thinking come from?
Yeah, I think basically we have a different vision or understanding of how this token should be used within the network, right? So other IoT blockchain projects, they are talking about this like a micro payment narrative, which we think will be like a part of the things we are doing actually. In my view, basically IOTeX token is the one actually to build up the foundation for the entire network, no matter what, right? For example, this DID thing like you mentioned about, that's probably not the latest version we have, but it's close. Is if we want to issue all the identity on top of the blockchain, how can every user of the blockchain help to make it stronger, more secure, and also more decentralized, right?
Yeah.
So that's basically like the spirit where we want to design the economics around. We will share with you guys like a latest version of this economics, probably during maybe the pre-order of this you can in the coming December-ish. Yeah, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah, but always you can think about the demand of the token is actually two sides. One is for the chain governance, just like other blockchains, like Cosmos or other blockchains, and they need many of those. They need the tokens for staking, making the network more secure. This is actually the intrinsic value of the token, just similar to whatever other blockchains are designing to as well. And what Jing and Roland mentioned are, in addition to that, this is another type of demand that we are
driving.
We are driving. And because the IOTeX ecosystem is booming, and so that the whole tokens are also having other big part of the demand as well. Starting from UCAN, but also with other hardware in the future as well.
Right. So we talked about token utility. Now we'll talk about token availability. Any plans to make IOTeX tokens available to the U.S. market?
Yes, we're working on that because you guys know U.S. market is a highly regulated market. We don't want to jeopardize like anything for our holders, supporters, whatever. So we are working them. We're working with lawyers very diligently to push it forward.
Yeah,
definitely. Simple answer there.
Simple
so
but powerful.
Thank you, Bill, for that question. This next one is from LukeMan0914. Very simple question. What is Vita? That's it. Yeah, that's the question.
We will say the Vita, simply put, this is the first XRC20 token, which is running on top of our tax. And the usage of the Vita, we want to use Vita as a community token. So which means just like all our community, for them, it's easy for them to collect the Vita through a lot of the community events, community tasks, right?
Staking,
So staking IOTeX token, a lot of ways, right? So it's all about just like if you are more engaging with our IOTeX community ecosystem, if you contribute something, and then you can get the data, can get Vita as a kind of reward. But at the same time, they have very specific usage. And we will make this usage in more and more, right? So right now, just like, you already can see in our Vita Mart. So Vita is kind of a utility token we can be used in the Vita Mart. Previously, you can exchange for the tryout. Now we kind of just like for the first tryout, you can for free, but later you will use the Vita tokens, for a lot of various, very cool, innovative IoT products. And I think we have, those lucky draw events will be launched very soon. So it's kind of just a Vita. Either you can collect, or just like you can, exchange with a lot of the cool stuff. So this is just the first usage of the Vita. Yeah.
And also so those that stake IOTeX can win or can claim Vita every day. There's also other ways to get it. You can also bid for Vita. You could do community tasks for Vita. But the claiming part is the majority, and that's getting halved every 3 months, right? So claim your Vita.
Halved?
Oh no,
Already
like
halved.
25%. It already halved, I think.
Already have, yes.
Yeah.
So actually, the generation of Vita token is also interesting, right? So there's no ICO, there's no IEO, there's no kind of pre-mining. So it's all just like through kind of the mining schedule, right? So everyone they are very it's very transparent, and they are also very equal to obtain the Vita token.
Right.
Yeah.
Just like Bitcoin.
Just like Bitcoin. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Has a lot of similarities, right?
Yeah. So that the value of the Vita is all depends on the usage of the the Vita token.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is the last question from Unique Boy DK. It's 2 parts. One of them we already kind of touched on a little bit around 5G. His question is, what and how will 5G integration affect the development of IoTeX? I think there's actually a different angle to it, right? We talked about how 5G will impact IoT, but how does this mix in with our project roadmap? Or are we kind of just absorbing the benefits of 5G as they come?
Yeah, so definitely, like you say, it makes us busier, simply put, right? Because what? Because like once a thing, for example, is water bottle, it have connectivity. Like the first thing it gets on the internet is to looking for identity. Like who am I? Basically, that's the question, right? Then that's where I think Jim got lots of inbound requests regarding how can I have my IoT hardware, have an identity, or maybe have other functionalities around this identity. So that's basically like a 5G is booster for lots of things we're doing.
Right? Definitely. Right. And anything else to add on 5G before we move on to the last question here?
Yeah, I think so 5G itself is a very different type of technology that can largely increase the speed connectivity and for everything, and the timing is also pretty good at this moment because if you look at the whole industry and the last economic booming is more about around the mobile internet. Right now, I think the economy itself also are expecting another type of technology that can move in everything just forward as well. And we all consider IoT is the most beneficial part from the 5G because the current connectivity of other things are, for example, your phone, 4G. The speed is good enough. It can be faster, but it's still good. But for all the IoTs, right now you still use Wi-Fi and other like type of technologies, which is like need different kind of hubs or whatever. But with 5G, and I think we need to catch up to get all together with the beneficial IoTs, and so that we can all come together with that.
Yeah. I think our job is to take all of these very frontier technologies, blockchain, secure hardware, 5G, and package them, make them easy to use for consumers, right? So I think that's a big part of our next phase.
Developers too.
Developers too.
Yeah.
Right. So this last question is very open-ended. Let each of you guys share your thoughts. But where can we see? Where will we see IOTeX in the next 5 years? So what should we expect from you guys? Big picture. Any order.
Do you want to go first?
Yeah.
My picture will be, I really wanted this Internet of Trust things to be a reality to everybody's life. So in 5 years, we don't need to educate this, concept anymore. Because, all the things will be very different from the connected things we are seeing now. So people, when they, definitely, it will be more smart, intelligent, right? Because machine learning, technology is, is advancing, right? So that people just like they can have more innovative product in their home, but at the same time they feel their privacy is protected. Still, this is a very very key thing. We want to IOTeX we want IOTeX can help this process moving forward. Yeah,
definitely. Kevin, Roland.
Yeah, I think I very agree with Jin, what Jin said. To give a very concrete example, like how I envision IoTeX, right? Basically, for now, if you go to Amazon, especially in North America, you purchase like a camera, you purchase something. It also has a label says integrated with Alexa, integrated with Google Home, or something like that, right? Definitely, we want this like powered by IoTeX or maybe IoTT powered by IoTeX would be like a very much like a standard over there. Like all the hardware devices, smart devices, no matter smart home, car, industrial IoT, definitely will put on this tag.
With the brand around powered by IoTeX.
Powered by IoTeX will be kind of a standard.
Right. Privacy and security.
Right.
Open
Actually,
data freedom standard.
We're already like on the right track. Like Larry, I think Xin, they are working pretty closely with IIC, which is like Internet Industry Consortium, which is composed of lots of big companies. Like IoTeX is actually like driving this architecture of entire IoT plus blockchain, right? I think this work is actually in progress. Once it's published, we will definitely share with our beloved community.
Standardize on both the product and the architecture side.
Architecture,
Kevin, close it off.
So I think I want to say two things. One is powered by IoTeX to make the whole society with data freedom. And another side is I really like to see IoTeX to become the Bitcoin in the IoT world, so that all the currency in the IoT world will become IoTeX.
Cool. So those are some ambitious goals, but one step at a time, and we're getting there. So stay tuned for more announcements. We have native staking coming probably in a week, right? We're just waiting for the delegates to install the latest code release, version 0.9, and it will be activated, I think, on October 29th, which is just about 1 week away. And then following that in November, it's all about decentralized ID and also UCAM. So tons of new announcements and some that we can't tell you about right now. So thank you guys so much for your support,
Thank you.
and we will catch up with you guys very soon. Thank you guys.
Thank you, guys.
Bye for now.
Bye.